I know I'm late for this, but it is wild, right, that Keanu Reeves wrote a comic book. If you didn't hear about it, Keanu Reeves wrote a comic book, and I read the first issue, and I'm going to talk about it. This is becoming a bit of a phenomenon that celebrities are writing comic books. Josh Gad has one out. It's weird that big movie stars are now turning to comic books, and I just realized what this is a reference to. I swear I read this book and I didn't pick up on what this is a reference to. Arguably, this is going to sound wild. I think Keanu's career was saved by this meme. If you don't know, this was a photo where he just looked kind of sad one day sitting on a bench eating a sandwich. And I think this was the first serious attempt I saw people of reframing his career from being a guy who can't act to being a guy who has a unique stage presence. And a guy with a unique perspective on the world is pretty much what the story is about, because the main character here, who should be noted looks quite a lot like Keanu Reeves, is an immortal soldier. He has trouble remembering his past and only really has knowledge of the extreme violence he's been committing. And he's found himself working for the government as a super soldier, gun for hire kind of dude. It does what good first issues should do, which is focus on the internal struggle of the character. We do get a really clear understanding of where our protagonist is right now in his headspace. Absolutely disconnected from the whole world and just going through the motions of living, which is strange because he is very capable of committing a Liefeldian-esque amount of violence. I don't know, maybe this is just the type of comic I've been reading lately, but it's quite bracing to see the amount of extreme violence that this first issue gets up to. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but I was nonetheless. What's the main character's sincere desire? To die, it's to have mortality, which is pretty cliche for immortality stories, but it does give a good sense of why. Even though he's living forever, he has a fundamental difficulty with connecting with people, which makes sense for somebody who's immortal. Do you connect with people? You can't really form too deep of a relationship because you're going to go on and the person's going to die. That would suck to be without the people that you love. Listen, the main character, Keanu, starts speculating that he might be a god. He's not sure, but gods live forever, which is an interesting wrinkle that a lot of stories about immortals never really take. The doctor does some experiments, and he remembers for the first time in a long time his birth, who were ancient tribes people of some sort. 80,000 years ago. Honestly, this is a pretty good first issue. It does everything it needs to do. It focuses on the internal life of a character, sets up where they are emotionally. You don't need in the first issue to inundate people with like world building. That can come slower. And being as Reeves seems very committed to this whole universe he's got building, there's even a chapter literary book coming out. It seems that this is a good start to whatever he's got cooking up, even though I suspect that it's really the co-writers who are doing most of the writing. I don't know, the idea of life just going on, but you feel nothing and you have trouble forming any connection. I don't know, that's a good metaphor for depression, grief. And I like that this story has locked into that as a idea.